we learned something new in GarageBand. Maybe somebody who wants to start their own podcast, maybe one of our viewers, Colin, would take this information and find it to be interesting. So, when you let a computer go to sleep after you've already recorded something on there and you've used an audio interface and you've disconnected it, and then you try to restart GarageBand, you plug in the interface, it does not recognize the input. So you have to restart the whole fucking computer again to start it over again because Steve Jobs is dead and nothing has been the same since. So that's what we learned today. And in the period of time it took for the computer to restart, you said, damn it, now we have to restart this argument all over again because you started some shit about something. And I was just trying to, I'm this nice, Christian person just trying to plug in microphones so that people can understand the insanity that I have to deal with on a daily basis. But go on.
Are you finished?
Are you? Are you, Diane? Thank you.
What I said was, when I got home at a very reasonable hour last night from my Christian duties at choir rehearsal.
Look, choir.
I expected.
You don't do choir rehearsal at the corner of Santa Monica and Robertson, all right? Just because your throat's open doesn't mean that you're singing a song.
I expected bells and whistles, and a party when I got home because I had been gone for an hour and a half, and just what do I get when I get home? Everything is just shut up. Lights are off.
No. I left 3 lights on in the living room. If you can't find your way in, Helen Keller, that is not my fucking problem.
I come home to just a dead silence, and I thought, oh, well, maybe they went out or something. To our favorite bar around the corner.
I love that he thinks that on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
On a Wednesday night, where Kyle has to get up at or before 5 a.m. to go to work, that at 9:30 p.m. we're like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to go get fucked up. And by the way, we're not going to invite you specifically because we know that you're at choir practice, and we're going to go out and drink liquor and dance with women. And I don't know, what the fuck kind of footloose environment do you think that we live in here?
Well, again, you use the word we.
The royal we.
No, because you now implicated 2 people in what I was talking about. When I say you, yes, the English language only has one version of the second person pronoun. We don't know if it's plural or singular we have to base that on context.
Sometimes it's they, sometimes it's them.
So my point is, my you that I used may not have been plural. I could have just been meaning you, as in one person went out and had fun while the other person slept and was being responsible.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, I know that you're going to go to bed right now. And yeah, that's a great idea. I know you're going to go to bed right now. I'm going to go get fucked up. I'll see you back at the house.
You've done it before?
When you wake up for work. I have never, ever done that before.
Okay, maybe not to him, but other people.
To who?
I don't know. You've had so many lurid exes throughout your past.
You act like I'm some kind of like deadbeat mother or something like that. I'm like, all right, honey, I put you like Sharon Stone at Casino. Like she tied her kid to the bed with pantyhose and then went out and got liquored up. And the excuse she gave, she was like, the babysitter couldn't make it.
Well, that was you in a past life, I'm sure.
That's me in the future. So I was sitting here, and last night, before you came home at your dark horror hour, we were watching Pluto TV, which if you have a smart TV, there's an app for it. If you don't have a smart TV or you have a Roku or Ping Pong or whatever the fuck it's called, there's also an app for it. And it's free. It's free to watch. You don't need one of those, login things. By the way, we have no sponsors. We don't even have AA sponsors. AA wouldn't even sponsor us.
Well, no, we talk about alcohol all the time.
But Pluto TV has different channels.
In fact, AA should put a trigger warning on our show. Be like, alcoholics don't listen to this.
You have to be 5 years plus sober in order to listen to us. Because AA has a thing where it's like you shouldn't get in a relationship with somebody if you're in AA for less than a certain amount of time because it's very funny. AA is like 5% alcohol, 95% your other shit that you haven't dealt with. Like, it's never like, it has nothing to do with like describing alcohol. It's like mostly people going to talk about their days, their relationships, their problems with their father, things like that. It's very little, other issues, which is why I think my ex was really bad at AA, and I think he only went because he wanted friends, because he had a great childhood and like wonderful parents and everything. Like, he didn't have any issues. He didn't have any assault, nothing, no trauma, no nothing. Like, he had a pretty wonderful lifestyle. He just drank a little bit too much and like, slipped and fell or whatever, and then was like, oh no, like I'm a drunk now or something, which I think was a bad excuse, because by all accounts he was probably a much more interesting person before he got sober. But putting that on the side, there were people there in AA and friends and things like that he learned through the program and everything like this that I did respect, because these people had really serious fucking shit happen to them. Like, they had a father that beat them to hell for 18 years. They had a mother that was domineering and spiteful and manipulative, like you. And they had all of these, things that would be you as a mother. You would be mommy dearest.
I was going to ask you to clarify, because I wanted to know if you were saying that my mother was like that?
No, your mother's a wonderful lady. You're the piece of shit. Again, no explanation, but that's another story. So, it was interesting because there were these people who went through deeply traumatic experiences, and the whole point of AA was to have a check-in with people and just to make sure that they're okay. And there are people in the program, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Their whole social life revolves around it. And so you can see people get something out of it, but so little of it was actually talking about alcohol. So I'd show up, to support, and I'd be there listening to this. Like, someone would go on and be like, yeah, I was really triggered today because the parking enforcement guy came and left 2 tickets on my windshield, and I just felt like it was a real problem. And the next day, someone was like, so I found out my mother was dead, and I hadn't spoken with her for 40 years. And it was like, whoa, like, they lay it on heavy there. So all I'm saying is, AA as an organization should sponsor this show. Because we don't have a problem with alcohol. Alcohol has a problem with us. And that's why we now know the names of the people who work at Total Wine. The Russian twink has a name to the face.
Oh my God. They really do know us, and it's really kind of sad because
they know enough. They know us.
Are you back already?
And we're back, and because it's twice in one calendar week, which is really depressing.
Well, okay, but to be fair, the first time you went in for like one thing, like we were out of one thing,
and I broke a bottle.
You
by accident.
Oh well, no, I mean the first time that week.
Right.
The first time this week.
The first time that week. But we went in yesterday to get one thing, and I'll get back to Pluto TV in a second. But we went to Total Wine yesterday to get one thing. We were out of white rum, and I've been on a Mai Tai kick and trying to make mojitos and other things like that. And so we're like, okay, we're going to go in and get one thing. So then all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting a cart.
No, that's not what happened. It's not what happened.
That's what happened.
Well, no, I will give you that you probably went in for one thing. I was not expecting to go at all because you just said, oh, we need to stop here.
It was on the way home.
Yes, I realized that. So I was like, oh, okay. But when we got there, I went, you know what? I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. I'm out of white wine. And they have the great deal at Total Wine where, buy 6 bottles and you save.
Again, Total Wine is not a sponsor of this show.
But they have a great deal where you buy 6 bottles of wine and you get, a certain amount off of each bottle. And so I usually will use that. So, yes, I had to walk around and get a cart because I'm not going to carry 6 bottles of wine and break something like you did. So, yes, I got a cart for my 6 bottles of wine and a case of Happy Dad. What do you want from me?
Another non-sponsor of this show. We keep mentioning these brands, and if I say Balenciaga 3 times, maybe Kim will appear in the background. I don't know. I want to get sponsored by somebody. We need a sponsor. Not an AA sponsor, but we need
listeners first.
We have enough listeners.
We have
You want more?
We have a few loyal listeners, but that's not enough for anyone to be like, oh, sure, I'll sponsor you because these two people that listen to your podcast might buy my shit.
To be fair, if we got an up-and-coming vodka brand, I'm sure that...
It's got to be good, though. You and I are picky.
That's true. I feel like we'd be really bad at endorsing something that we don't personally either use or enjoy.
I wouldn't do it.
Like Popov could not sponsor the show. The vodka that bounces.
Burnett's. Burnett's. No, Boone's Farm. Boone's Farm sponsors our show, and we're like, it's so sweet and not refreshing and just sits so badly in your gut.
Sweet berry wine. It would not be. It would be so bad if we did that. Herb Burbingler. So I want to get back to. So we went to Total Wine yesterday. I happened to find the martini glasses I have. They had replacement ones that were on sale, so I bought that.
But they don't say Pebble Beach.
Well, that's why I will give them to company that I know that's
autistic.
No, I just
someone with Tourette's who's going to have a
who's going to be stimming with my glassware.
Well, you know, Tourette's. Everyone knows Tourette's as the yelling out curse words. But Tourette's, people with Tourette's,
the one I have.
People with Tourette's also have. Some people have the tics,
which is most people.
They'll just throw something out of their hand. I'm just imagining, you know.
I also have that. I have all the different kinds.
I'm
of Tourette's.
imagining our dear friend coming over and just
Christian.
getting lit and just.
I specifically bought these with Christian in mind because if he broke one of my Pebble Beach glasses, I would suplex him to the ground. But if he breaks one of the ones that are like my Pebble Beach glasses, but without the inscription, it didn't cost 3 times as much, then it's fine. It's a whoopsie. We're gonna have to give him like plasticware, like in Keeping Up Appearances they did with the helpless neighbor Elizabeth, and that's a deep cut reference. So anyway, back to Total Wine. We ended up leaving with 6 bottles of wine, plus a box of glasses, plus. I got my rum, but they make it in a 1.75 size, which is cheaper. Plus, Grey Goose was on sale, and they made it. They even had a sign that said "Why pay Mo at Bevmo?" and it was like $15 cheaper for a 1.75 of Grey Goose. Like it was like $40, which, I mean, at that point, like you're fighting with Popov for pricing. Plus, there was some gin on sale. Plus, we got bitters because we haven't had bitters. Plus, we forgot the fucking almond syrup, so I'm going to have to go back tomorrow and get more.
We'll get 6 more bottles of wine. No.
What I'm saying is we need this podcast to take off because we're deeply indebted to Total Wine.
Well, and I realized that I was basically out of Saint Germain, so I had to buy that too. So yeah, we ended up leaving with gin, vodka, Saint Germain, bitters,
wine,
rum, and 6 bottles of wine.
We bought everything but tequila because...
and a case of Happy Dad.
We bought everything but tequila because you grabbed my shirt and said, we have enough tequila at home, and that was it.
And I almost bought the Crown Royal Peach, but I didn't.
We don't have room for it.
We don't.
No.
And
Crown Royal smells like old woman. I don't want that in my house.
But no, Crown Royal Peach is good for shooting because it's
shooting.
Not... Yes. Taking shots.
Who are we shooting? So
it's not overly strong.
Well, what the hell is
it? Doesn't burn.
Every time we try to record, someone pulls some shit. What is it this time?
A very
street cleaner, steamer, Freightliner.
A very slow.
Cabanya's truck and whatever service. You have a truck towing? What is this?
A backhoe.
What'd you call me? So, I want to be clear.
You're never clear.
I'm ever clear.
You're never clear. The water is never...
The water never runs clear. That sounds like something from like a fictional land. And the water never runs clear. The land of Santa Monica Boulevard to Larrabee.
Oh, Jesus.
Pluto TV. So they have channels for things like...
30 minutes later. Back to Pluto TV.
They have channels for things like Westerns, like the Western channel. They'll play like Bonanza. Or they'll have channels for like Bar Rescue. But they have a channel now for Judge Judy. And I guess now that Judge Judy has Judy Justice, Judge Judy Justice. Say that 5 times fast. On Amazon, I think that they've basically all the other shows are in syndication now, so they're playing like the 1996, 1997 first couple of seasons of Judge Judy, where she was just this quirky family court justice who they decided to give a show to. They still hadn't figured out what the set looks like. They still hadn't figured out what kind of cases to bring in. I don't think that they even figured out what the point of Bert was, because he just sat there doing math in one episode, which was very jarring. He's just a bailiff. He does nothing. Like, he got so lazy towards the end, so he didn't even want to pick up the paperwork and hand it to Judge Judy. But anyway, so it was kind of this like quirky, fun early show where they're still getting their bearings. So in this particular show, there was a couple who they had divorced, and there was 3 things in question: a Geo Metro, which was being financed and still was worth $7,000, which if you can find a Geo Metro today worth $7, a cat, and an intimate video of the two of them doing I don't know what, but this was around the time of Pam and Tommy. So I think this took place in the Valley, as all horrible things do. And so they were already divorced, and so who gets the car, who gets that? So apparently, instead of going to divorce court, they went to Judge Judy to hash out who gets what property in this. So she got the car because she'd made most of the payments on it. He got the cat because, I don't know. And
because the cat went to him when it called, I don't know.
Some shit. And
no, because like King Solomon, she went to split the cat in half.
And they said no.
And the man said, no, just let her have it. And she goes, you get it.
Well, that's actually what happened with with the intimate VHS tape. So the girl was like, please destroy
You're
it.
Gonna get
You're going to get half of it. You get one spool of it.
You're going to get the first minute. You're going to get the second minute. Like
you get the bloopers. So you get the Benny Hill section at the end where they're trying to put it in. It's not going. So she was like, I don't want this. I don't want it to exist. I want to destroy it. He was like, yeah, I want to keep it. And Judge Judy said, you're sick. What are you going to do with that? You're divorced, sir. You don't need the tape anymore. So Judge Judy decided she was going to keep it and burn it after the episode ended. And she's like, in 5 minutes, I'll destroy it in my own chambers. Okay? Okay, case closed. So everyone went to their different corners. Then after the episode ended, it's footage of Judge Judy, all 5'1" of her, behind the set at Sunset Gower with a trash can and some paper and the tape, setting it on fire and looking on it with delight as this thing just burns. It was this video that these people made. And it was the most bizarre footage of outsider art I have ever seen of Judge Judy gleefully looking over the trash can, burning a videotape at the end of an episode.
Why has that not become a GIF or a meme?
I tried. I was only able to run up to the TV because Kyle and I both sat there like slack-jawed because I've never seen them. Because at the end of the episode, it's talk to the plaintiff, talk to the defendant, and it goes away. You don't see Judge Judy again. She goes back into her chambers, she presses the button, she disappears, and she's never to be seen again until there's another case. For them to show extra footage or something like that is very unusual, which is why it had to be an early on thing. But I ran to the TV and tried to take a picture of it, and all I could get a picture of was the dumpster, but not of her standing there. So I spent 20 minutes last night before I went to bed trying to find what episode it was.
Because you can't rewind Pluto TV.
No, because it's live. So Pluto TV is free, but with difficulties. So if any of you, I will give you something. I haven't decided yet. If any of you can find this episode, it's in seasons 1 through 3 of the judge burning this videotape, and I can find the name of the woman who was in the episode, if I can look here.
If you're going to give them something, don't do the homework for them.
Well, okay. but the problem is that in the early, here's why I had problems last night. In early Judge Judy episode titles, the description will be like, man with snake. That's it.
This is why you had problems last night? What about all the other nights?
Usually my problems revolve around you. But the titles will be something like man with snake. And it's like, okay, that's not fucking helpful. But let me see here if I can find it. If I can find this woman's name at least. I'm going to dox someone who had a judge. I found her on Instagram, by the way, the woman whose episode it was, because I'm, sick. But it's in the early seasons. I can't find the woman's name right now. But she was on Judge Judy. This woman is now a tarot card reader.
If this was the 90s and she was probably like 40 back then, she's got to be 70.
Yeah, this woman is probably in her late 50s.
She has an
early
Instagram
60s.
and she's 70.
She has an Instagram, yes. Well, she has a tarot card business and she lives in the Valley.
Oh, God.
So there's that.
That's going to be your future.
That's my present.
You don't live in a valley in a valley. You don't live in the valley, and you don't.
I'm in a permanent valley.
Practice tarot card.
Well, I'm one tarot card short from being in the valley. So anyway, if you can find one of these this early episode, just so I can get the gif of her burning the tape in there, because that would be gold on Twitter.
Actually, I have something that we will send you if you do end up finding it. I will not say what it is yet.
A half-empty bottle of Saint Germain.
I won't say what it is yet, but you will.
You
get
have
something.
to incentivize people with the prize. You can't say you're getting a mystery. It could be your old underwear.
No, it is a prize worth getting, but I cannot divulge what it is yet. Otherwise, I will.
Is it monkeypox?
Yes. Yes.
Well, anyway, Colin, or one of our other two listeners, if you have access to Judge Judy archives, or you can find, please send it in to us, because we will be eternally grateful. And we'll probably actually record a special episode around that. I have had requests, singular, from one of our listeners to call in during an episode.
No.
I said yes. I just want to figure out how it works first.
You can't record someone.
Skype.
But again, on the microphones, you can't.
You and I will probably have to crowd around one microphone.
Ew.
Well, anyway, that's something that's coming up. But back to what we were talking about before. Which was what? Which was nothing. So we were actually talking about this before we went on, and I was like, okay, finally, just whip out the fucking microphones and talk about it. We are in the news dead zone of the year, in an election cycle especially. It's September. There's a hurricane in Florida. The Queen's dead. And nothing is going on. The most controversial thing that happened in the past 2 weeks was Lizzo played flute. And someone bombed the Nord Stream pipeline. But that's not... There's nothing... It's a world potentially changing event, but it's not like there's a clip of Biden talking about it or like,
Well, they're ignoring it.
Well, yeah. So it's like there's not really anything about it. Like, who's going to sit there and be like, that was a good idea? Like, okay, big deal. Move on. But we were just talking about that we're almost in like a news hangover because nothing serious of consequence... Well, nothing serious has happened that the culture war has gotten riled up about, I guess. I don't know.
But
I feel like people are fatigued.
This is a bad thing, though.
Well, it's bad for business, and it's bad for... Because it always feels like whenever this happens, because there's been a couple times that this has happened, where people finally get tired of being constantly outraged, and then something really bad happens.
Right.
In fact, the last time I can think about this was like January 2020. Was the last time that something like this happened, where it was like, okay, things are not looking good for the future, and there's election far off, but, there's no real news, and then bad things happened.
But the contrary to that is there is an election not far off in the slightest, and usually around this time there are there's political ping pong going on, right? Usually around September, and then that leads up to your October surprise, whatever the fuck it is this year, because like Nostradamus, it happens all the time. Or like Nostradamus predicted, it happens all the time. We should be having some type of back and forth debate style things, in the media where there's, it's almost like the Republicans have accepted defeat like I said before, Mitch McConnell already basically accepted defeat in the Senate, and it's like they're throwing in the towel and they're not even trying. I don't understand it. There's nothing going on, and there's nothing people are talking about. There's no political ads. There's no, well, we don't have cable, so we don't see the political ads. But you know what I'm saying. Apparently, the only thing I can say is apparently Katie Porter here in OC.
Oh God, she's a real looker.
Scared of losing because she's been pumping those ads constantly.
Speaking of Pluto TV,
yeah, on your thing,
it's constant on there, and I know it's probably the cheapest ads to buy. Like it's like about $27, but it's every single advertisement in all 4 spot segments are her. Senior saying Republicans want to end abortion. If you keep me in Congress, I'll personally abort everyone. Something like that. I don't know. Do you know that Katie Porter gets a kickback she was an UC Irvine professor briefly in like 2011, 2012. Then she got elected, but someone at UC Irvine pulled the strings so that her family could continue to live in university housing for the past 10 years at a subsidized rate. So they basically live in a $2-3 million housing area, and they spent a couple $100,000 for it, and they just get to do that in perpetuity while she's living in a completely different side of the country.
And while she's probably getting rich, because that's what politicians do.
And you know why it happened? Yeah, she has at least a net worth of $2 to $3 million, so it's not like she's like destitute. And apparently,
someone's got to pay for those Sharpies and those whiteboard markers.
Those whiteboards aren't subsidized.
Whiteboard markers are expensive, by the way.
And she knows. But the part that I thought was the most
probably
interesting,
over there huffing them.
Well, the only way that we found out about this is a man on her campaign staff, who it was later discovered as her boyfriend, assaulted someone who was a Trump demonstrator at one of her rallies this past year, and he had to list his address, and it was this address. And it was the only way that we found out through public records that she currently lives at this place at some subsidized ass rate. Otherwise, we would not have known. Nobody would have dropped a dime. Nobody at UC Irvine would have said anything. That was the only way we found out.
As we said, we'll cut this one short. We'll keep this one short.
As the Moyle said at the press, we'll cut this one short.
Every episode, you gotta make that stupid, disgusting joke.
And it gets better every time.
He looked like a wounded dog for a second. Like it
gets better every time, which is more than I can say for your jokes.
I don't make jokes.
You are a joke. That's true.
I don't.
The only time you're making a joke is to ape something that I did.
I'm just a mean cunt. Like I just say things that
he admitted it.
I just say things that are mean and bitchy that I really mean, and people think it's a joke, and I'm like, I'm not joking, bitch.
You would have been a great doctor. You have such bedside manner.
Real quick, very quick story.
You have such bed wench manner.
Very quick story. My mother loved this one particular doctor. God, what kind of doctor was he? Orthopedic doctor. Mm-hmm. She had an orthopedic doctor in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He is now retired. He might even be dead. I'm sorry. He was rather old when I was young. His name was Dr. Kilroy.
Okay.
And my mother loved him so much because he had no bedside manner, and because he was like a shoot from the hip type person. So he had a nurse who was Indian, dot, not feather. And
the police are outside because you said dot, not feather. The police literally just drove by. You're going to be arrested. You're going to jail.
My mother told this story quite often. She said, I remember walking, one of the first appointments I had with this doctor, I walked into his office, and he was angry about something, and I was sitting in an exam room, and I heard him yell, "Someone get that Indian bitch! She made a mistake!" Of talking about his nurse. And then she like...
Isn't that what Liz Warren's staff say when they try to find her?
Apparently she yelled right back at him, and like that's their rapport. And my mother said, I can never leave here. Like, this will be my doctor forever. So, and a couple years later, that same doctor put a cast on my foot when I broke it. So he was a nice man.
Is he dead?
I don't know. I know he's retired. I don't know if he's dead yet.
What was his name? Dr. Killjoy?
Kilroy.
Okay. As a corollary to our Judge Judy tape search, if one of our followers could look up Dr. Kilroy, we want to give him a Humanitarian of the Year award. And you will also receive a reward for that.
I think I'm going to start referring to you as that ginger bitch. So, you know, you're downstairs and Kyle's up here. Get that ginger bitch! He made a mistake again.
Is thought really short for that hoe over there?
Short for or an acronym for? Those are two different things.
I will throw this coffee on you.
So yes, thought is that hoe over there. It's an acronym. Yes, it's not short for anything.
What'd you call me? Short. How dare you?
Which is why I thought about making this thought criminal THOT, but then I went, no, that would be stupid.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Oh shit.
Okay, potential rebranding. Anyway,
have a great day and fuck you all.
All right.